And at the beginning, I mean, our patient thought that that might be an earthquake, but it was much faster than that. It happened like in a second. It's a very heavy explosion.
Okay. All right, sir, thank you so much. We understand we have someone on the phone, but we're going to show you pictures of the scene as we listen to someone who may have more information.
Indeed, we do. Michelle, on the phone right now, we have Tony Bommarito with the Orange County Fire Authority. Sir, do you hear us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Can you tell us what's going on? We have a reporter out there gathering information, and Captain, we'd like to know what you've been able to gather so far.
Yeah, so I think you can see from the pictures above, and Michelle Julie, this is a major operation here. We got a call at 110 for a possible explosion in the first floor of a two-story office building. Units on scene confirmed that it did appear to be an explosion. They were able to quickly extinguish a fire and determine there was one DOA inside. There was additionally 2 civilian injuries. I don't know the status of those patients at this point. I don't know where they're transported. Right now, we are in a unified command, Orange County Fire Authority and Orange County Sheriffs, and the plan right now is kind of a holding pattern. We're basically going to get our hazmat team and the bomb squad together. They're going to form a plan, have a conversation, and to see the best way to assess the situation before we start putting our guys inside.
And Captain, is there a car inside the building?
No, we cannot confirm that. All I can do is confirm that there is an explosion on that first floor.
Captain, it sounds like that you're concerned that this could be some sort of explosive device and not a natural gas situation. Is that fair to say?
Well, you know what? I'm not going to comment on that because that's going to be part of the bomb squad and hazmat investigation. I'd hate to put bad information out there. So right now, we're just going to confirm there's an explosion. Unknown cause, they will try to determine that.
Yeah, Captain, and we're seeing some of those units gearing up right now to go inside. Also, members of the Orange County Sheriff's Department as well. As far as you know, has that building been cleared or have people evacuated from it?
Yeah, the information I have is that all the surrounding buildings were evacuated. Right now, Orange County Sheriff's is trying to set up what we call a reunification location. So apparently there were some children in the building next door. So parents started calling. So what we're trying to do is set up a reunification staging area, if you will, and be able to reunite those folks.
These are medical buildings, is that correct, in this cul-de-sac on Mara Blue?
It appears to be that way. I'm not going to confirm what the address is, actually number 11. I'm not going to actually confirm what it is because I don't know right now.
And Captain, we just talked to Michelle Gilly, our reporter who's out there. She's been covering Orange County for many, many years. She said that she's never seen so many emergency responders on a scene. Why is that?
Well, look, we don't want to blow this out of proportion. Explosions are not a common occurrence. So we want to make sure that the community is safe. So we're going to do everything we can, and we're going to plan accordingly, meaning put these bomb squad and hazmat guys to work to assess the situation and make sure there's no danger to the surrounding community.
And Captain, do units actually go in first, or is there some sort of robot that would assess the situation before sending in our personnel?
That'll be something hazmat and bomb squad gather together. If they feel like that's the best way for them to handle the situation and the safest, that's what they will do. But right now, they are just now starting their planning process.
You mentioned there were some kids next door. Is that a daycare facility? Any indication that any of those children were injured?
Again, I don't have any information on the building next door. I don't have any reports of any injuries to any children. Like I said, the 1 DOA and 2 civilian injuries, and those were transported. That's what I can confirm right now.
So it's a good idea right now, Captain, to let our viewers know if you know anybody who works in these buildings or work in the surrounding area, that at least for now, stay away from the area. There's just a massive response. It's closed down some streets there as well. Absolutely. There are hundreds of firefighters and police deputies on scene. This is going to be a many-hour event, so this is going to go on. Traffic's going to be shut down for a long time. All right, we're going to keep you on the phone with us for just a moment, Captain, as we tell some specifics about those road closures. We know that eastbound Pacific Park to the Aliso Plaza completely closed down right now. Pacific Park westbound to Moulton also completely closed down. Again, this is the Aliso Viejo area where there has been an explosion, a deadly explosion. Captain, stay on the phone with us. We're going to be welcoming in our CBS 2 News viewers now, watching us now on CBS 2 News. For those just joining us, On CBS 2, we are following some breaking news happening in the Orange County area between Aliso Viejo and Laguna Hills.
And we have Captain Tony Bommarito on the telephone with us. He is from the Orange County Fire Authority, where there has been this tremendous response of emergency personnel. You said hundreds of firefighters are there, Captain. Is that right? Captain Bommarito, are you still with us?
All right, Sandy, it looks like we may have lost the captain for a bit while we try to reestablish a signal with him. We want to go ahead and go to our Michelle Gili. Michelle, we've now joined CBS 2 in this coverage. Now we want to bring everybody up to date. So basically, start all over again and let our viewers know what's going on, Michelle.
Well, you can see the massive crime scene here, and as I indicated a couple of minutes ago, in my 27 years in Orange County, I have never seen a scene this large. We've got hundreds of Orange County Sheriff's deputies and firefighters here. What we heard, and most of this is unconfirmed at this moment, there is at least one dead here in this area. The street is Marablu, right off of Pacific Park. We're very close to the 73 toll road in Aliso Viejo. This is a complex of several medical buildings and also a preschool. Now, we heard on the scanner that there was an explosion and one dead. Then we heard a couple more people were transported. These were trauma patients to a local trauma center. The entire area on lockdown, and we heard that the initial crews were very, very cautious because we understood that there could be explosive devices still in the area. We've heard a lot of things from witnesses and people here at the scene talking about a car going into a building, a car that may have had a bomb into it. We haven't confirmed any of these details, but we know that the authorities are proceeding with caution. Standing next to me now is a mother. Her name is Stephanie, and her daughter is at the preschool that is located here inside of this medical complex. The name of the preschool is?
Academy on the Hills.
Okay, so tell me what word you got.
My husband called the school and they said everyone is safe, everyone's okay, they're awaiting further instructions, and the understanding is that they're trying to be cautious just in case there's any other danger in the area, but no one in the school is hurt, and they're waiting on instructions from the local officers.
Do you know how far the school is from the area where this explosion is said to have taken place?
Very close, right next door or across the street.
And as you stand here, you're kind of holding your breath. I know you're very concerned, but confident certainly in the job that staff is doing there.
Yeah, as you said, there's a lot of officers here. There's a lot of support, so I'm sure that they're going to be they're being cautious and just being safe. But yeah, waiting on the edge of my seat for them to be able to evacuate.
And again, this was around 1:40 this afternoon that the sounds of an explosion were heard.
I didn't hear the explosion. I got an alert on my phone and ran right over here and saw the intersection blocked. Had a little heart attack, but my husband, like I said, my husband called the school, and so we know everyone's okay right now, so that's good.
Thank you for talking to us. One thing that's kind of unusual here at the scene that I have never seen, this Orange County Sheriff's deputy who's standing next to me, every single car that pulls out of this hospital parking lot here, this is Laguna Treatment Hospital and Kaiser Permanente, he is taking photos with his cell phone of the car's license plates in order to document each and every car that is located in this parking lot. The question was asked whether this possibly could be a gas leak. I guess the answer is anything is possible at this moment. We did hear from a couple of people who were near the scene that there was talk of devices both inside and outside of the building, but again, the Orange County Sheriff's Department has confirmed none of this for us. We know that people are proceeding with caution, and you can see how massive the scene is here. We were in Fullerton when we heard this on the scanner and raced down the 5 freeway, and there was at least one Orange County Sheriff's vehicle, lights and sirens in the carpool lane blazing past us trying to get here to the scene. scene. So the whole area here, Pacific Park, adjacent to the 73 toll road, is blocked off, and here in the foreground you can see a lot of people. They have uniforms on. It looks like they work in some of these medical buildings. They may be people who have appointments at the dentist's office and the doctor's offices. But what we've heard is one confirmed DOA and a couple of other trauma patients, but we're trying to really get a hold of all the numbers right now and exactly what may be going on here. And it may be that they just don't know yet, and that's why they can't give us any confirmation of any of this.
Can you see whether or not we've been hearing about a possible car that may have gone into the building? You haven't seen or heard that, have you?
I personally haven't seen it because I'm kept so far away as a result of the threat of more explosive devices. I see Carrie Braun walking toward us. She is with the Orange County Sheriff's Department, and I'm going to see if I can grab her as she walks across the street to see if we can get any answers. She is the person who may be briefed. Give me just a second here. Carrie, we are live on KCAL 9 CBS 2. We're trying to give viewers just an idea of where they should avoid. Can we get somebody to... Chief Fennessy, can we get you... Can we get you here for one quick second? Okay, we're live though. Can I just get somebody for a couple of minutes, please? Okay. 2 minutes, they will be ready to give us a briefing here, okay? Is there any information that's maybe a gas leak? Okay, they're giving me the 2-minute sign, and we hope to get some real answers for us here. In the meantime, okay, we've got them mobilizing over here, so I'm going to move my camera over this way and see what we can hear. But we've got quite a crowd out here, people obviously desperate for answers. We've got mothers and fathers wanting to pick their kids up from preschool, so hopefully right now we'll be able to find out what's going on here.
All right, Michelle, while you set up for that update that we're going to get in about a minute and a half or so, Sandra Mitchell and I are going to update our viewers as to exactly what we know so far, information we received from Captain Tony Bommarito from the Orange County Fire Authority. Apparently, authorities got a call around 1:10 this afternoon of a possible explosion on the first floor of a second-story building. And you're looking right now from our vantage point, our eye in the sky there, you can see what looks like some damage to the building, Sandra.
Yeah, it looks like perhaps some windows blown out, kind of hard to see with the palm trees
too,
there.
yeah,
some things from inside the building, and we see a lot of debris on the ground there just outside the building. We know that one person was killed. Michelle just told us that several people were taken away as trauma patients from this. We don't know exactly what happened, but we do know this is pretty unusual circumstances. You could see crews going closer to the building right now, but usually when we have something like a gas explosion, the gas company would report to the scene and the fire department, but we know, we can see that there are hundreds of first responders on the scene in Aliso Viejo right now. The bomb squad is there. We know that the hazmat team is there. And we're going to go back to Michelle Gilly to get the very latest. Michelle?
Are you okay?
Chief, please identify yourself.
My name is Brian Fennessy, and I'm the fire chief for the Orange County Fire Authority. With me this afternoon is Lieutenant Fred Thompson with the Orange County Sheriff's Department. Behind me is 5 Mariblu Aliso Viejo. The Orange County Fire Authority received a call at 1:09 p.m. We responded with a total of 10 engines, 70 firefighters. We arrived at the scene of an obvious explosion. We have 1 confirmed fatality at this time. There were 2 injuries. Both were transported to area hospitals. We're in unified command with the Orange County Sheriff's Department. Investigators and hazmat are on scene checking hazards at this time. There were no children injured. Unifications of the families are at the target parking lot at this time. There was a daycare, or there is a daycare across from the address in question. We're gathering more information now. We'll be back likely within the hour with more details, but that's all we have to share right now. I'm available for a few questions, as is the lieutenant.
Chief, what about a car into the building? Is there a car that ran into one of those buildings?
We don't have any information. We don't have any information on that at this time.
Are there any bombs or explosive devices that you are seeing in the area?
We're still checking the buildings, trying to determine what happened.
The person who was found dead, was he inside or she or he inside the
We
building?
cannot comment on the fatality or the injuries.
Is there a possibility that this is a gas leak?
We're still trying to figure out exactly what happened. We have investigators on scene trying to do that right now.
All right, tell us about the person who died. Where was that person?
We're not releasing any details on that right now. We're still trying to figure out exactly what happened, and we'll get back to you when we have more details.
How dangerous?
You're going through, what does that building, is that an office building? What is it?
It appears to, what I'm told is it appears to be a building that's under construction at this time, or renovation.
And how dangerous is this area right now?
Well, we're still assessing what exactly happened, but as far as where we're standing right now, we're okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more information later. Thank you.
Okay, so we really didn't get much more from the officials than we've had. They confirmed that there is one DOA. The early information that we were getting is that this may be linked, and this is a possibility, to some sort of explosive device. And the official who told me this off the record indicated this because of the condition of the body, that being the person who died on the scene. You heard that the officials here didn't want to give us a lot of specifics about this. We do not have any information about this being a gas leak. We were also hearing on the police and fire scanners that there may be explosive devices in the area, and that is why they were proceeding with such caution with regard to getting in closer to the scene. So you heard the officials here from the Orange County Fire Authority and the Orange County Sheriff's Department say that there is one DOA, 2 trauma patients taken to trauma centers, and the area that we're talking about behind us here, the street, is Marablu. It is probably 100 feet from the 73 toll road in Aliso Viejo. As I look around here, I see the Pacific Park Medical and Dental building. There's a Kaiser Permanente building here. This is a medical complex. And this is what's interesting. Every car that comes by, take a look here, Dave, if we can show these deputies. Every car that comes through this intersection here, law enforcement takes a photo of the license plate. They're documenting each and every car that comes through here. So the deputy there is getting a shot of the rear plate. They want to keep track of each and every person that is moving about this area. And that's something that we generally don't see if there's a gas leak or a fire or something else. So it appears as though the officials have more information than they're willing to disclose at this moment. You can see by the massive response here that there's something very, very serious going on beyond just a fire and one person killed. So we're efforting information. Standing here behind the police tape are a lot of patients, people who attend, trying to go to doctors and dentist appointments here, people who work inside of these buildings, and also parents who are wanting to pick their children up at a daycare center here. And off in the distance, it looks as though I see a canine unit, maybe a bomb-sniffing dog there on the sidewalk. There's 3 dogs, as a matter of fact, that I see there now with the Orange County Sheriff's Department.
Yeah, Michelle, you are so right. I don't think, unless they're searching for a suspect or a convict, that I've ever seen them take pictures of license plates of people simply trying to get away from an explosion or a fire. One thing that I seized on that the Orange County Fire Authority captain said was that this was a building under construction, and we've seen that in the past, where a construction worker hits a gas line, then there's an explosion. But boy, Michelle, it doesn't sound like that's the case in this situation.
I lost you there for just a second. My audio died in my ear. But yes, they said that this was a building under construction, and we were hearing information that there was a car into a building. So the question would be, was there something inside of the car, or just the sheer force of a car ramming into a building that would cause it to explode? These are things that we don't know. But just based on our past experience and what we've seen at other crime scenes before, this one is different. With regard to the numbers of law enforcement and fire officials here, there's a big, looks like a crime scene van rolling in now. We've got a lot of police dogs. And I did speak to one official off the record as I was driving down here, and he indicated that the state of the body, the person who was found dead, is not something that we would normally see in a run-of-the-mill fire or car crash. So there's something different about this, and certainly as the hours tick by, we'll get more information. But it's a very curious scene, and they've got the whole area blocked off here, people being kept quite a distance away, and as you see again, these sheriff's deputies ask each and every car to stop so they can photograph the license plates.
And obviously, if there is a car into the building and there is something more sinister right now, the hazmat and the bomb squad departments there want to make sure that they're going to give it the all clear before they let people get in a little closer. Also in the area, as we were mentioning, this building under renovations, under construction, is Academy on the Hills daycare center. All those children have been accounted for. They have not been injured. And right now there is a reunification center for not only patients and personnel of the buildings nearby, but also for the kids that go to this academy. It's over at the Target parking lot that's not too far from this area right here off the 73 and the 5 between Aliso Viejo and Laguna Hills.
Yeah, a scary situation with those parents this afternoon. As you can imagine, you get a call, there's been an explosion near your child's daycare. But again, all those kids are okay, and they're being taken to the Target parking lot where their parents can pick them up. Michelle, are you still with us?
Yes, I am here. I'm trying to find, were you guys in the area when the explosion occurred? Were you here by chance when it happened?
I just got here.
Okay. So I'm trying to find a couple of witnesses here. Ma'am, were you here when it happened? Okay, so we're just trying to see from firsthand information. Ladies, were any of you here? Sir, were you here when it happened?
Yes, we are, but we're county employees and we're not allowed to comment on the situation.
Okay, without identifying you, can you just tell us what you heard?
Okay, no, I'm sorry. No
okay,
comment.
These are county employees who don't want to talk. Sir, how about you? Were you in the area?
No, I heard it's an explosion, actually. She just told me that there was an explosion and they evacuated kids.
Okay, right, they evacuated. Were you guys in the area when it happened by chance? Okay, thank you. I'm looking around here to see, how about, were you in the area?
Michelle, I'm going to interrupt you just a moment as we show our viewers these live pictures. These are children being led from their preschool. Again, all of the kids are okay, but how many times have we seen this scene? Children in an emergency situation being led away from the danger by rescue personnel, even some children, presumably very young children or babies in cribs, and you can see the staff is wheeling them away from Academy on the Hills preschool, which is just next door to where this explosion happened this afternoon. Again, we do want to stress all of the children are okay. You can see their teachers and their preschool aides are with them right now, and they are being led away from the dangerous scene, but there has been a deadly explosion in the building next to their preschool.
And now on the left-hand side of your screen there, we're seeing a ground shot of those cribs being wheeled away, possibly to that Target parking lot, which is the reunification center that the Orange County Fire Authority was telling us about. But you can imagine this, very young children, children in cribs, and very young children, preschool age and younger than that, being evacuated away from the building. Most of the surrounding buildings, though, have been evacuated. And again, that reunification center has been established. So by all accounts, what we're seeing right now here is that this area is going to be a area of breaking news, of developing news. So they're going to be keeping people away from this area as much as possible. The hazmat department is there. The bomb squad is there as well. And look at all those fire personnel. As far as we understand, 100 firefighters and sheriff deputies on the scene right there. That shot on the left-hand side showing you those children being escorted away by firefighters and by their teachers' aides as well. So quite a day for these young children, a lot of them holding on to each other, holding their hands. They look okay, which is a good thing. When you're that young, you may not know exactly what's going on, but they look like they're well taken care of. And as far as we know, nobody was injured. And the parents either received a text message or a phone call letting them know what happened. Or Michelle Geely, speaking to one of the parents there, who said that she was alerted to what was going on. She came down to pick up her child, and that's where she is right now. So it looks like the fire authority and the sheriff's deputies there, they have things under control. But wow, Look at this scene, these young children being escorted away, Sandra.
Oh, it's heartwarming and heartbreaking at the
Yes.
same time that these kids have to go through this, but you could see the fire crews out there just doing an incredible scene, getting them away from the scene. One thing I seized on was that Michelle Gili said that somebody told her off the record that there was a possibility that there were more explosive devices, and we say more because there's no confirmation that it was an explosive device, but an official out there on the scene told her that there was a possibility there could be more explosive devices in the area. So they obviously want to get these children out of there, but it doesn't seem like there's any rush. But it's just incredibly heartwarming scenes of those big burly guys holding the hands of those innocent little children.
So those children are going to be led away to safety so they can be reunited with their family. You can see there holding hands one by one being escorted out of the area. Now, this all happened about an hour and a half ago, around 1:09 p.m. We understand sheriff deputies got a call of an explosion reported at this building at now 5 Marablu. That's in the Aliso Viejo area. It's a cul-de-sac there with several medical buildings. There's also a medical facility not too far from there. So it looks for the most part an industrial area, but there is also the Academy of the Hills, that preschool center where we are watching these young kids being escorted away from. They say that the explosion, what happened there, was in the first floor of a 2-story building. We did get some word from the sheriff out there that this was a building under renovation, under construction. So no idea whether or not this was an occupied building, but the buildings around that building at 5 Marablu, those have all been evacuated, including the Academy on the Hills preschool there. We do know one person is dead at the scene, and apparently the injuries that authorities have seen on this person are of very big concern. So we've talked about a possible gas leak. We've talked about a possible car into a building. They will not confirm either one. You would think if there was a car into a building, it would be obvious. They would look at it, see it, and confirm that for us. So they are looking into that. They're looking into the possibility of other explosive devices inside that building as well. 2 other civilians were injured. 2 other people there on scene were also injured. They've been rushed off to a trauma center nearby. And right now what you are looking at is a very impressive unified command of Orange County firefighters, the Orange County Sheriff's Department, along with their hazmat and bomb squad, all working to get to the bottom of this, Sandra.
Yeah, and just incredibly encouraging that all of those children are okay. Again, they were not in the building where the explosion happened. They were in their daycare next door, the preschool Academy on the Hills, but it looked like some very young children being taken away in cribs. It happened about 1:10 this afternoon. First call came in that there might be a car into a building. We don't believe that is true now, but we do have confirmation that there was an obvious explosion, and that is according to the Orange County Fire Authority, what they called an obvious explosion. They also tell us the building was under construction, but with hundreds of rescue personnel on the scene and first responders, it doesn't appear that they think that this was an ordinary gas leak or gas explosion. So as we look at these live pictures of the children being evacuated, let's go back to Michelle Gili with an update. Michelle.
Okay, Mary, who is standing here with me, she's a San Clemente resident, was very, very close to where this all happened. She was on her way to an appointment on Marablu right behind me. So let's just start from the top, Mary. What did you see?
So as I was driving up, about to park, I saw that the roof was on fire. Well, I didn't see the fire down below. It was all full of smoke. And then you heard all of the car alarms going off. And then everyone started running out of buildings everywhere with these looks on their faces of horror. And so I parked and saw 2 women come out full of blood, hair singed, just glass stuck to their hair, glass stuck to their bodies. Their skin was burnt and peeled back, and they were just in shock. And then after that, they made everyone leave because they thought there might be a secondary explosion. They weren't sure at that point what happened. And then they started getting all the toddlers out from across the street in the cribs.
Okay. Now, when the women came out, were they in a building that looked to be under construction, or were they in a building adjacent to that?
They were in the building. I thought at first it was under construction because it was so what's the word? Disturbed, so broken, that they came right out of that. They were in the middle of that explosion.
So what you're saying is the destruction of the building may not have been because it was under construction. You think it might have been the blast or whatever, the explosion that caused it to look the way that it did.
Right. It wasn't under construction. It was because of the explosion.
Okay, so 2 women came. Were they running out? Were they on fire?
They weren't on fire. They were helping each other across the street, walking very slowly in a lot of shock, shaking, just full of ash all over their face, eyes bloodshot, just blood all over.
And I saw you have a little video clip of them kind of kneeling down on the grass and people were surrounding them. Describe that.
This is a medical office area, and a lot of people came out and offered some water and tried to help us with some aid before the ambulance came.
Okay, so the ambulances, 2 ambulances came and then took them away.
Right.
Okay, did you ever see a car sticking out of the building, or did anyone discuss that?
I've only heard about it now on the breaking news. I didn't know anything about a car.
Okay, and what about this area? Tell me what is back here behind us? We know there's a preschool.
I'm new to this area. I just came for an appointment, so I really don't know. I heard that there was medical and dental offices.
Okay, and did you see smoke in the area? You described it as fire on the roof. Tell me that again.
There was fire behind the bushes, and one of the cars were on fire, and the smoke was coming out of the roof.
Okay, and can we see the building from where we are? Is it one of these 2 here?
It's the second orange building.
Okay, so we see a brick building here, and then it's the one right next to it.
And it's the lower corner floor.
Okay, and again, you never saw a car, and you didn't see the person who was killed?
No, and I never saw the explosion. I must have come as soon as the explosion happened.
Okay, and the women who came out, did they appear to be our age?
I would say one was my age and her mom, because she kept saying, "Take care of my mother, take care of my mother."
All right, and you're still kind of trying to catch your breath and in shock over all of this.
Well, it was really scary, especially I didn't know what I was coming into, and then watching these women, their lives, she touched her hair and it just floated, and she's like, "Oh my God, my hair." And then she said, "Well, at least we're alive."
Okay, so I was going to ask, they were able to talk and walk?
They were coherent, yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for sharing what you saw here. Okay, so this is one eyewitness's account, of course, of what happened right behind us here on Marableau. We're still trying to clarify exactly what went on here. We've heard so many different stories about a car going into the building, about whether perhaps this is a gas leak, about a building under construction. We've heard things about devices. Maybe there was a device in a car, maybe devices outside as well. So a lot that needs to be confirmed, and as you heard, the officials came to us right away, of course, knowing that we wanted answers, and gave us just a little bit, but there's still a lot more that we want to find out. But they did confirm 1 person dead and 2 trauma patients, which we now are surmising might be the 2 women that Mary was just referring to, who she saw running out of the building.
Mary's account, Michelle, seems to be the best bit of information that we've been getting, as authorities right now are staying pretty tight-lipped onto whether or not there was a car in the building, whether or not other explosive devices were found in the area. All information that we're still trying to confirm for our viewers. Now, there's that cul-de-sac I was telling you about. So this area, mostly medical buildings and that preschool, the Academy on the Hills.
And Michelle, you said that somebody told you off the record that perhaps there might be other explosive devices. It doesn't seem like there is a real panic there to get people away from that scene.
Yeah, it's hard for me to see beyond the ambulances. There are a lot of, I see them bringing a gurney in now to one of the buildings here into this Ocean Valley Dental Center. But my view is blocked by a lot of emergency vehicles. But you're right, there's enough movement in here that it doesn't seem that there might be explosive devices out in this complex, although we did just see those 3, which I'm assuming are bomb-sniffing dogs. Here I see, again, one of them. If we can see on the back of their jackets there whether it says sheriff, so it's hard to determine. We will try and find out if the bomb squad is here. But I mean, let's just say that there are a lot of different possibilities, of course, that they're looking at. But it seems like we're too close to the building for them to be fearful that there are other devices that could go off. And I haven't seen, I haven't seen any sort of investigating that might lend us to that.
And Michelle,
hey, Captain, how are you? It looks as though the fire PIO is making his way toward us now, so we might be able to get a little bit more information, the captain. So we'll see if we can update that. But go ahead, Juan.
You know, I was going to say, Michelle, we were seeing or watching, looking at a picture from Sky 2, Sky 9 right now. That's the Target store that we were telling our viewers, which is the reunification center. We see some people gathering there as well as some firefighters that look like they may have dropped off some kids or walked over some folks. So that's the area that we're looking at right now. Not far from where you're standing, Michelle, is that Target store. It's on La Paz.
Right, right. Yeah, we saw really heartbreaking photos to see them roll a crib down the sidewalk with a baby inside, and then all these toddlers holding the hands of different staff members and parents walking down the sidewalk. It's just so sad and scary, and everybody here wants answers. Now let me try and grab the Orange County Fire Authority PIO has just made his way to us, and I'm going to see, it looks like he's talking to someone over here, but I want to grab him in a minute and see what updates he can give us.
And we're showing you these live pictures from Sky 9, Sky 2 right now, and we just showed you that Target parking lot. It looked like there were some parents or perhaps some other people there waiting to be reunited with their loved ones. Again, the first call came in about 1:10, so it's been about an hour and a half now since this happened. But an obvious explosion, according to the Orange County Fire Authority, at this medical building on Blue, just off Pacific Park. This is the Aliso Viejo area. It's a deadly explosion. One person has been killed, 2 injured. We believe those are 2 women, according to a witness account, a witness named Mary, who just spoke to our Michelle Gili and said that the women were full of blood. They had glass in their hair and in their body when they left the scene. And we know that 2 patients have been taken to a local trauma center.
Those women, their hair was singed, but they were just happy to be alive and walk away from all this. Our Stu Mundella is about 2 minutes away. We're going to be getting his perspective once he gets live over the scene, so hopefully you'll stay with us to hear from Stu in just a minute or so. But there you see the live response, the massive response of OC firefighters, Orange County Sheriff's Department, as well as the hazmat and bomb squad for those departments there. And now people in this grassy area there, you see them sitting down. Basically, those are people who may have been evacuated from the nearby buildings. Captain Tony Bommarito with the Orange County Fire Authority telling us that all surrounding buildings have been evacuated as a precaution. And my guess is, as part of the investigation, sheriff's officials are going to be going into different office buildings and areas, different floors, just to make sure the whole area has gotten the all clear.
Yeah, they're telling us that they're going to be going into the building to try and determine what caused this. But boy, this is sort of a confusing situation for us because they're not saying a lot. Normally they would say, we think it's a gas explosion, we think it was caused by a car that went into the building. But in this circumstance, they're not saying a whole lot except to say that they want to get people inside the building to figure out exactly what happened. And you can see the side of that building, these live pictures right now. And this is where it happened, on the 2nd floor of this building at 5 Blue in Aliso Viejo. We've got street closures in the area, complete closures of eastbound Pacific Park and then westbound Pacific Park all the way to Moulton. So a lot of street closed. As you can see, a tremendous response to what's going on.
All right, let's go back to Michelle Gili. Michelle, take it away.
Okay, folks, we have Captain Bommarito here with us with the Orange County Fire Authority to give a little bit more, to flesh out some of the details here. If you can help us out, because we have so many questions about whether this is possibly a gas leak. Was it a car into a building? What do we know about what that scene looks like?
Yeah, so our Fire Chief Hennessy gave a statement earlier. He pretty much gave you all we have. The only thing we've actually changed is we have 1 additional civilian injury, which makes a total of 3. All transported to local hospitals, unknown status. This is going to be a long process. We have a unified command right now, so we have our Sheriff's Bomb Squad and our hazardous materials getting together, form a plan, and they're going to assess the situation and make sure it's safe. So we can't even get there and determine the cause until we know it's safe to go in there.
We were being told that there is the possibility that there are explosive devices in the area. Is that a possibility, or has that been ruled out?
I don't have that information. Again, that'll probably be a sheriff thing, and their bomb squad and hazmat will assess that.
But the bomb squad is here, bomb sniffing dog?
Yeah, so we'll be able to probably over the next hour to start reducing our resources. We'll start getting that scene to a smaller circle, and then that's when we'll be able to get in there dirty and start their investigation.
Where did the information come about a car into a building?
I don't know how that was on our initial dispatch. They may have reported that, the person that called 911, so I don't have that information, but we pretty much can confirm that there was not a car, there was just an explosion from the inside of the building going out.
And can you confirm that the building is under construction, or is it just damaged to the point where it doesn't look like it's a normal building at this moment?
I don't have the pre-status of the building. Right now, the first floor looks like it's heavily damaged. We have building officials and our urban search and rescue teams. As soon as they are able to go in there and assess the stability of the structure, they will do that. But I don't know the status of the building prior to the explosion.
And why haven't they gone in yet?
Again, this is going to be a long process. We don't want to send anybody in there until we can confirm there's no hazards.
And Captain, the person who was killed, were they inside of the building or outside?
Right now, we have them confirmed inside the building.
And is this a male or female?
I don't have the gender of the victim, the DOA.
And what were they doing in the building? Were they working there?
I don't have that information.
And what is the building? This is a medical complex with a preschool?
From what I have, it's a medical office building. The actual daycare is across the street, if you saw that. So that was the initial units on scene wanted to basically isolate those people and confine them to their school. So as soon as we determined that there was no immediate hazard, that's when we started evacuating the kids across the street. I don't know if the chief mentioned the reunification staging point over at La Paz and Oso in front of the Target.
This does not look like a normal scene that we go to in Orange County. Why is this different? Why the massive response?
Right, so we have a commercial building with an explosion. It doesn't happen. We get gas leaks in residential structures all the time. It's less common, but it does happen. So you got a commercial building with an explosion. So we are going to take every precaution necessary before we send anybody in there.
Are there any federal authorities coming to the scene, FBI, ATF, any possibility that this is terrorist related?
The only information I have right now is we are in unified command with the Orange County Sheriff's Department, and they are the lead on the law side.
And Captain, there were two people who were also injured. Can you tell me where they were and what their status?
Yeah, so now we're upgrading that to 3. We had a smoke inhalation patient. That's the only status that I can confirm. That was a local hospital. The other 2, I do not have their status.
Male, female?
I don't have that information.
Can you describe?
I don't have that information.
Tony, can you describe what the building looks like, and is it that second brick building that we see behind us?
Yeah, it's the second. So if you see that black tar paper kind of stuff, the corner of that building, the whole bottom floor is pretty much blown out.
Okay, so windows blown out.
Walls and windows blown out.
And you were indicating that in a commercial structure we don't often see gas leaks?
I'm saying we don't see explosions in commercial buildings, or we would be reporting these things more. So that's the why we have this big presence here.
So that's the oddity here, is the fact that we have an explosion in a commercial building.
Exactly. We want to just cross our T's, dot our I's. We want to make sure the community is safe before we do anything and before we send anybody in there.
And do you know how many people were inside that building?
I don't have that information.
And again, Tony,
as far as I know, that whole street has been evacuated, every building on the street.
And this is a medical building?
Yeah, as far as I know, the children were all evacuated from the daycare. I think I just saw the last kids being evacuated in the last few minutes.
Where are they being reunified?
They are in front of the Target parking lot. La Paz and Oso is the intersection.
And again,
Aliso Viejo.
This is a medical building.
The information I have is this is a medical office building.
Do you know the name of it?
I do not.
Okay, the address.
5 Mary Blue.
Can you describe some of the damage real quick for me? I just missed that.
Yeah, so it's the corner of the building, first floor, walls and windows blown out.
Any idea what's going on? What caused it yet?
No determination on cause yet.
Thank you, Captain Tony Bommarito. Okay, you guys, so we got a little bit more information,
Michelle?
Yes.
I wonder if you could ask him, he said the urban search and rescue team was preparing to go in. Does he think there might be more victims inside that building?
Yeah, let me clarify that with him. Excuse me. Tony?
Beyond that, the reason, cause still under investigation.
Yes, that's correct.
You indicated search and rescue was going to go in at some point. Do you fear that there are more people inside who may have died or are injured in there?
Well, here's the thing. With an explosion, we try to isolate that as quickly as possible. We try to isolate the threat, which is what we did. We put the fire out. We evacuated the building. Every person that we are aware of is out of the building. That's the information I have. As usual, with any explosion, because of the damage, we have to send people in there and make sure there's nobody reported missing.
All right, and again, you don't know when that will happen.
No, my guess is that's going to be hours away because, again, Hazmat and Bomb Squad haven't even made entry yet.
So what is the order of things that will take place now?
Right now, the way I see it is that Hazmat and Orange County Fire Authority Hazmat team, Orange County Sheriff's Bomb Squad, will form a plan and assess how they're going to enter the building and assess the threat. As soon as that happens and they determine there's no threat, then we can allow our resources in, our building officials, our USAR teams, and make sure there's no additional threats or victims.
We haven't seen cars moving past on the 73 toll road. Has that been shut down as well?
I don't have information on the 73. I just know the local streets are shut down.
Okay, and again, people concerned about loved ones, where should they go or who should they call?
Yeah, so for the daycare across the street, those kids were evacuated to the parking lot of Target, the intersection of La Paz and Oso. It's about 2 blocks away.
Okay, thank you, Captain Bommarito. Let's go over there. Okay, I'm going to make my way here. Let me see. Can you guys still get my audio? I see perhaps a parent.
We hear you loud and clear, Michelle. Go ahead.
Hi, folks. Were your kids in the daycare center? Okay, so you're so happy to be reunited.
Yes.
Tell me what you've just done. You've gone to Target to pick them up?
Yeah, we were just really scared. We've been waiting here for like an hour and a half or so, and they were just making sure that everything was clear before they walked the kids to the Target for the parents to pick them up over there.
Did you guys get word via email to come pick them up?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they were keeping.
Yeah, we got an email from the administration saying that there was a lockdown. So we just came straight over here, and that's where we found out that they're putting together a plan to clear everything out. So everything was, well planned out. It was real secure. So.
And what about your children? I know that they're just kind of wide-eyed and curious right now.
Yeah, I think they're into the helicopters and all the flashing lights. So yeah.
And for you to finally be reunited with your son and daughter.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, just very, very emotional. I'm just happy everybody's safe.
And certainly feeling very lucky because something happened so close to their school.
Yes, it was like right across the street, I guess. We don't really know what the whole news is, but it was right across.
Were the folks at the school able to share any information?
No, they were just getting all the kids together. Yeah.
Everyone together and make sure that the parents can take their kids home. So no information other than just our kids going home.
And describe for me over at the Target parking lot right now. Are there just a lot of kids and a lot of families?
Yeah, they're inside. They're pretty secure. They've got kind of like a checkout system. They barricaded all the kids to make sure that parents are registering them, that they're validating everyone that's leaving. So.
And how long did you have to wait before you picked your son and daughter up?
Yeah, I wasn't keeping time because it was kind of suspense. So I think it was about a couple hours. So.
And do you know what the kids did inside while they were locked down in there?
The parents, or the administration told us that they had kind of secured them away from where all the action, so they kind of put them inside, away from the entrance and all that, so, yeah.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so parents here starting to make their way back to maybe where their cars are parked, and again, just looking at the scene, the sheer numbers of law enforcement here, the coordination that must be taking place, all of the Orange County Sheriff's deputies, the bomb squad that is a part of the Orange County Sheriff's Department, the hazmat crews, Orange County Fire Authority. There are so many people here that need to do so many different jobs, but as you heard the PIO for the Orange County Fire Authority, Captain Bommarito, say the next order of business will be for those search and rescue crews to go inside of that medical building, that's 5 Marablu, to see if perhaps there is anyone else there. And then you heard from Mary, the woman that we interviewed, describe that she was driving by and saw kind of smoke and fire coming out of the top of the building, and then saw 2 women walking out kind of dazed and their hair singed and on fire. Fortunately, they were able to walk and talk, but they were badly injured, and we did hear of 2 trauma patients being taken to Orange County Global Medical Center. So that's what we know is happening right now, and we're just trying to effort as much new and fresh information for our viewers as we can.
That you've mentioned, there are hundreds of emergency personnel there. We've talked about Orange County authorities. Have you seen any federal authorities, FBI or ATF, anything like that?
I have not. I have not witnessed anyone from the FBI or ATF, but it wouldn't certainly be uncommon for us to see them at a scene like this, and it could be that they are conferring with the authorities here and will, eventually make their way here. I wouldn't be at all surprised, but no. To answer directly, I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, one new bit of information we did get, Michelle, when you were speaking to Captain Bommarito, is that there are 3 injured now, 1 that was dead on the scene there, and 3 people injured, taken to several hospitals. And now our chopper is live over the scene in a really good vantage point, and you can see the destruction to the building right there, the walls and the windows blown out, and all the insulation. You can see that pink insulation. You can see that that's where the explosion happened. As far as we know, something that we did clear is that there was no car into a building. Captain Bommarito telling us that the initial dispatch call was a car into a building, but that did not happen.
All right. He also told us that the person who was killed was inside the building, and that this occurred on the 2nd floor of the building. The explosion was inside the building going out, so the explosion did not come from outside the building. And he said there's a lot of damage, a lot of heavy damage to the walls and the windows, as you said. So what's happening right now? We've got investigators on the scene, but really nothing is happening until they determine that it is safe to go inside. So they've got the bomb squad and the hazmat team there. They just don't know if there could possibly be any explosive devices inside, and we say any because we don't know if this was an explosive device, a gas line, or something else. So they've got to make sure that it's safe to send the team inside before they do that.
So while it's a mystery for us and you watching at home, it's a mystery for officials out there as well. They need to go inside, make sure that the building is clear. For the most part, they'll have to turn off the power, the gas, the water, anything that may be a problem a little bit later as they continue investigating what's happening there. And if he's ready now, it'd be great to go up to Stu Mundell live in our chopper right there. He's live over the scene. Stu, you're watching all this unfold as well. Quite a presence out there, huh?
It is a huge presence. First responders coming out here in droves, and I'm sure this type of situation, like that one fire captain was saying, not something that you hear or see every day. And to see this type of explosion out here, and really, Michelle is down there on the ground, and she's been talking to all these people, but you really have to understand that force that must have been happening out here. What we're showing you right there is the corner that we can see very clearly of this building, 5 Marabou out here in the Aliso Viejo area. And take a look. Basically, this type of brick is what should have been all the way down to the ground. That entire wall has been just completely blown out, straight down to the studs. There's actually some drywall from the other side that you can see. When we made that first orbit when we got here, because we were just trying to get a feel for what was going on, there's these large trees over here on this other side, and in that trees you can see a lot of damage as well. Stuff being thrown across the way, the shrubs and branches being blown out from that building. Also a lot of water out there. That was one of the first things we were listening and looking for, and we heard Michelle saying that they're saying it wasn't a gas explosion. And of course they are looking at everything right now. But when we first arrived right in this area right here, this is where all the utilities for that building are, right there. And there was a lot of utility workers in that area. They were shutting off the water and probably shutting off the gas. Now if this was from that explosion, possibly open lines, water lines still spewing water, or possibly the fire suppression system, sprinklers, who knows, but they did shut off all the utilities for that building. And also inside through the trees here, you can see a lot of that glass and those shades just kind of thrown about. So this was a massive explosion that happened earlier this afternoon. As for the fire department, usually we can see, you can just kind of tell just by their body language, but they seem very relaxed in the area. We saw a utility worker actually with one of the fire captains. We know that from the different type of hat the firefighter was wearing, walking by here, talking to these folk here, and then to another smaller command post inside the parking lot. That worker went around the building, came back, talked to these folks, and then left again. Of course, right now, reconnaissance. That's what they're doing. They want to make sure that whatever happened in there won't happen again, and there is no more danger to the public. Now, you've got the first responders as far as the fire department, and then you got the first responders as far as the sheriff's department, almost on cue. You can see them making their way right there. Some of those firefighters actually wearing those Kevlar helmets because they don't know what they have. This is probably the team that's going to make their way inside that building, and it is common language. They're going to clear it room by room by room. You've got to wonder, though, if they have some sort of devices with them that perhaps they can read levels of oxygen or whatever types of gases may be inside these buildings. But again, with those windows blown open, I'm sure that this building has been ventilated. But there you go. You can see some of these first entry team making their way inside the building. Their job, obviously, is going to be to make their way in there, clear the building, make sure that there is nobody else in there, and then also make that real assessment of what happened in there. Was it something of malice? Was it accidental? Was it, who knows? I mean, there could be a host of things that could have occurred. So they're going to go in there and they're going to figure it out. Right now, though, the building still stands. Even with this major damage, you can see, like, it is really amazing to see that blown, that hole, this backside of the building, basically blown completely apart and in just to the bare bones. The first responders, obviously, they do the brunt of the work, and we saw the law enforcement. I believe that's going to be the Orange County Sheriff's Department making their way in. Right now, though, still very serious situation, not static by any means, but apparently they're in this phase now where they're inside, and they're really going to make a determination of what happened in there and how this explosion happened.
All right, Stu, stay there, just giving us these live pictures. For right now, we're going to say so long to our viewers over on CBS 2. We're going to get the latest information for you first on CBS 2 News at 5 or KCAL 9 News at 4. We're going to take just 1 second here, and the continuing coverage will continue on to KCAL 9.
All right, to bring you up to date on what's happening, we've got one person dead, at least 3 others injured in this explosion in Aliso Viejo. It happened inside that medical building you're looking at right now. The explosion came from inside the building, we think on the 2nd floor. And witness told that our Michelle Gili that 2 women came out of the building and had glass in their skin and in their hair. They were covered with blood, and one of them said, well, at least we're alive. But again, this is next to a daycare or across the street from a daycare preschool, and all the children have now been taken out of that building. The children are safe. We don't know what caused the explosion, though. We do know that for the first time now since it happened, in about 2 hours, the bomb squad is going inside the building to get a better look.
And I believe that's the daycare center on the bottom part of your screen there with the colorful tarps that we were talking about. Most of those kids have been reunited with parents or loved ones over at the Target parking lot over at La Paz and Oso. So that is a good thing. And we saw that that caravan of children going hand by hand across the way. And just a few moments ago, we saw the hazmat team, it looks like the bomb squad, go into the building, making their first entry into the building. They've already apparently cut off power, water, and gas to the building. They've figured out that it is safe enough to go inside. And look at that line of officers there, some armed with rifles as well, going into the building to check it on out. The damage to the building is so significant, Sandra, that early reports were that this building might have been under construction or under some sort of renovation. It doesn't mean that there isn't an office there, that it was being renovated, but still the damage so bad that the facade of the building, the windows, and a lot of the insulation was blown out. And as we know, 1 person was killed, 3 others injured, and all of it focused right now on that corner of the building there, over on now 5 Marableau. That is the avenue, that is the address of where this building stands. And our Orange County reporter Michelle Gili is right there, very close to where it happened. Michelle, you've got another witness with you.
That is right. This is Judith from Laguna Niguel, and she was in this building right here you see at the corner of Marableau and Pacific Park when this happened. So let's run through it. What did it sound like?
It was a very loud boom, and the office runs right back to the 73 toll road, and it sounded like perhaps there had been a car accident on the 73.
And so what happened at that point?
Well, you could feel the building shake. It was a very loud explosion of some sort, and the windows rattled, and I was actually in the dental chair and could feel the vibration in the chair.
And what did the dentist do?
It was the dental hygienist, and she stopped everything, you know, for the moment, and we all just kind of waited, not knowing if we had an earthquake or what was happening.
And then what?
And then one of the other hygienists came into the office and said that there had been an explosion of sorts at the building across from us.
Okay. When you went outside, describe what things look like.
You could see that the building, that there had been some sort of an explosion. It appeared that there was a hole in the building. You could actually see some flame. There was a car parked very near the flames, but the car itself did not appear to be on fire.
So when you say a car was parked near, was it parked in a parking spot or a parking lot, or was it up on, say, the grass or rammed into the building?
No, there are parking spaces along the buildings, and it was in a parking space.
I understand 2 women were injured. We know that 1 person died in that building, and another witness described 2 ladies coming out. Did you happen to see them?
I only saw them from a distance, and they were seated on the curb in the parking area until assistance arrived.
And did you notice that they were burned in any way?
I really couldn't see what condition they were in.
So did you have a chance to talk to anyone as law enforcement was showing up to ask them what was going on here?
No, I didn't.
Okay. So you've kind of been hanging around. Is your car stuck in there?
My car is stuck in there,
okay.
And we actually were told to stay in the building. We did go outside for a moment, and then we were told to go back into the building. And then they said that we could go, but by the time 2 of us left the building, then they said, no, stay in the building for shelter. But by then, we were outside.
Okay, and what question do you have about all this?
What happened?
Yeah, that's certainly what everyone wants to know. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. So certainly a very, very dramatic situation here this afternoon. Judith, you know, getting her teeth cleaned, sitting in the dental chair when the building shook and everybody wondered what was going on. So behind me still, just a huge scene, huge crime scene. More kids from the preschool on Mariblu being picked up by their parents and walked to their cars. So, you know, still a lot of questions. We want answers, certainly, but we were told that the 2 women, we had heard early on that there were 2 trauma patients. So it makes sense based on what witnesses are saying that those might be the 2 women who were taken to trauma centers.
Hopefully we're going to get some more answers. Just a short time ago, we saw members of the EOD, that's the Explosive Ordnance Disposal Team, go into the building. They're the ones that are going to look for any possible explosive devices still left inside the building. And I understand they're making a second entry in just a minute there. So they are definitely hitting this hard. They're going to see what's inside this building and hopefully get us some answers as to what happened here today around 1 o'clock.
Yeah, just a really confusing situation. It's been almost 2 hours since this explosion first reported as a car into a building and then an explosion and a fire. Well, they quickly got the fire under control, but then they discovered that 1 person had been killed, 3 more have been injured, at least 2 of them taken to local trauma centers. And we still don't know what caused it, but we do know that the bomb squad is now going inside. The hazmat team is there as well. They've been taking precautions for about 2 hours, but now apparently they've determined it's at least safe enough to send some folks inside.
One thing we do know for sure, Captain Tony Bommarito from the Orange County Fire Authority, he told us this is going to be a long process, and that's exactly what we're seeing here on television play out. This happened around 1 o'clock, now almost 2 hours exactly. They said it happened at 1:09, so just a few seconds away from that 2 hours ago, and they're doing a great job. More than 100 firefighters are out there, sheriff deputies as well, and they're all doing the best they can. They've already secured the area. They've evacuated the nearby buildings. They evacuated the preschool that was across the street. All the kids are okay. They've been accounted for. Parents have been notified. So everything that needs to be done has been done. What now we need to find out exactly is what is at the root of this explosion that, as you saw there, tore off the side of this building, Sandy.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm looking back over my notes because we jot things down as this breaking news unfolds before us. One of the first things I wrote down was that the AOC Fire Authority said, we don't want to blow this out of proportion.
Right.
And now we get the indication that one person is dead and that they don't know what caused it. And they really were evasive when Michelle asked them if this was the possibility that it could be terrorism. Again, there's no indication of that. It could simply be a problem with a gas line, but we just don't know. And
one thing they did rule out, Sandra, was that car into the building, which we had mentioned earlier. That was the initial dispatch, the initial call they got at 1:08 p.m. this afternoon, that there was an explosion, a possible car into a building. And with all that destruction, it would even be hard to see a car if there was a car into the building. So that was the original dispatch call, but fire officials out there telling us there is no car. We've heard of possible explosive devices also found on the scene. They won't confirm that for us just yet, but quite a bit of destruction there. We do know one person dead, 3 injured, and the injuries that we've been hearing about, that those witnesses told Michelle about, seem to be burn injuries with women's hair on fire and hair just falling off their head. It was a pretty serious explosion. If it did the damage to that building, you can only imagine. Yeah, and we're getting these live pictures in from Sky 9 right now, and you can see the glass and the bits of the building blown off. This explosion so strong that they felt it. The woman that Michelle just talked to, Judith, said she felt it while sitting in the dental chair all the way across the street. So what happens now? The bomb squad goes inside. They're wearing protective gear, and they will go room by room. They are going to go very carefully. This is not something that's going to be resolved in a few minutes. They've got to go in very cautiously because they don't know exactly what they're going to find inside. And another thing that needs to be answered is who, if this was a bomb of some sort or explosive device, who set it off? Was it the one person who died? There may be some answers that still going to be days or weeks away from getting, but you can see there they are looking at the scene right there. Very dangerous situation. Earlier today, it seems like things have settled down a bit. They've turned off the water, the power, and gas to this building, and right now it's going to take a lot of time to basically go through all this rubble, this broken glass, and basically search for more clues, possible pieces of an explosive device, if there is one. And look how cautiously he is walking around. Again, those live pictures on the right side of your screen as the bomb squad in their protective gear now stepping very gingerly through some of the damage there, taking a look, because don't forget there could be clues in that as well, right? Pieces of, if there was an explosive device, sometimes they will find pieces of it, and that can lead them back to the person who is responsible. So again, this explosion that went off just after 1 o'clock this afternoon, about 1:10. One person has been killed and 3 people have been injured and transported to local trauma centers. It's quite a mystery that we're going to stay on top of here on KCAL 9 as well as CBS 2. Also, for the very latest information on this, you can always go to our website. That's cbsla.com. We're going to be back on the air in about 45 minutes or so for KCAL 9 News. At 4, we'll have Michelle Geely and Stu Mundell bringing us live reports from the scene. For Sandra Mitchell, I'm Juan Fernandez. Thanks so much for watching. Breaking news unfolding here in Orange County.
This has been a KCAL 9 News special report.
Dreams will come true if you just believe them. But what if you no longer dream? So choose